This guy I'm a fan of. I see him do these open carry demonstrations. I see him on the news. I see him in town hall debates nationally and locally. And this is a guy who is a leader, Michael Cargill, and he lives here in Austin. I'll just do it right here on air. But you're going to have to kind of chase us because we get so busy we forget. I'd like to invite you once a week to come in and do a gun report for us. Hell of a way to meet you. I'm like, get in here and come work for us right now. Michael Cargill. And, of course, he's one of the honchos over there at Central Texas Gunworks.com. And he spent 12 years in the U.S. Army and studied criminal justice at the Troy State University. And while he was in the Army, he was awarded the Army Commendations Medals, 8 Army Achievement Medals, and 4 Army Good Conduct Medals. I'm not going to go through his whole bio. We'll run out of time with him. He's a qualified expert marksman, both in rifle and hand grenades, and is an airborne qualified parachutist. And I hope they don't send him to assassinate me. I'm joking. We were talking about the Army earlier. And after his honorable discharge, he works in telecommunications and now works in the Second Amendment and everything else. And he just does a lot of amazing work managing huge accounts. I'm not going to get into your whole bio. It's a very interesting bio, and we're just excited to have you here. You're an NRA-certified safety range instructor, officer, and just defend the Second Amendment while we've got you here. And it's very exciting to see us defeating their last raft of gun grabbing. But I'm concerned after the next event, they're going to come after us yet again. So, Michael Cargill, good to have you here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
You bet. We're going to have you on the Nightly News with Jakari Jackson tonight, too, as well. So, again, wow, so much going on. Well, what would you say is the state of our Second Amendment?
I tell you, well, we have a serious problem here, especially after the midterm elections. I actually expect this current administration to come after our Second Amendments again, for sure.
Oh, yeah, they've said. I mean, that's what don't pause or I'll talk over you the whole time, man. The gargoyle up there, Senator Feinstein said, there will be other events, and then she smiled.
Right. And see, the reason I got into this business in the first place is back when I was in the military, my grandmother at 70 years old decided that she was going to travel back to college to get a college degree. My grandmother only got a high school education, so at 70, she wanted to become a nurse. And while my grandmother was traveling back from a college library, sitting at a bus stop waiting for a bus to come, a guy came along, mugged her, and raped her.
Oh, my gosh.
And I decided at that point that I would make sure that every female in my family had the tools they need to protect themselves.
Is that scumbag in prison?
No, he is not, unfortunately. No, but I think
he's not going to fall down and hit his head, is he?
No.
Anybody rapes my grandmother, you know.
Right. I know. And I just want to empower women to defend themselves because they can't have a police officer on their backs 24/7.
Exactly. These feminists are against women having guns. They're not feminists. They're scum.
Exactly. 100%. And so that's why I support the Second Amendment. I support all our constitutional rights, but I really, I'm pushing for the Second Amendment.
Well, there's also this thing with women that they go, oh, I wouldn't be good with guns. Women, as you know, statistically are as good or better than men with guns.
Right. And I'm totally...
Have you found that as an instructor?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. It takes me about 2 minutes to get, I sit there and talk to a lady and coach her into what to do, what to look for, and then bam, she hits it, hits it right out of the park, and it will do a lot better than the men in our class.
Well, that's what we see in Olympic shooting. They're as good as the best men at shooting, and just generally women are easier to train in firearms.
Right. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, we had, it doesn't matter, we had a rock star's daughter out with a shooting out at Steiner Ranch, the real Steiner Ranch, and she was like shooting bullseye at 300 yards with a Lapua that we hadn't even sighted in properly, and like immediately. And we were all shooting around it till we got it sighted in. It's like instinct. She was shooting even though it wasn't sighted in properly.
Right.
We were like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, I tell people, it takes me about, 9 hours and 45 minutes to actually sit there and talk to a person and teach them how not to pull that gun out. But it takes me all of a good 5 minutes to actually teach them the actual specifics of...
Exactly. A good gun trainer will teach you when to use the gun. That's the key.
Right.
It's not even about... They've mystified guns.
Right. Like
in these movies where you shoot a .357 and it blows you back. I mean, I can shoot .250 cal standing up. It's hard to pick them up, but if I can pick them up, I can shoot them both.
Correct. And they always focus on the wrong things, They're focusing on, targeting lawful gun owners rather than just the criminals, and it's about, getting rid of these criminals and empowering the people. It's not like where the president is from, Chicago, Illinois, they call it land of Lincoln. I like to call it land of the lawless. Those failed gun laws in Connecticut didn't work for them in Connecticut. The failed gun laws in Chicago, Illinois are not working for them there, and they're not going to work for us here in Texas.
Man, I don't know who these guys are that like go around like raping women. I mean, how does it even come in your mind to want to do that? And I just want to see them all get killed.
Right.
I mean, let me tell you, somebody does something to my wife, they're going to get a snub-nose 357 pulled out, jammed in their chest, and they're dead.
Right, right. You know, and it's important that we educate, you know, our community and how to empower themselves to protect themselves, because we shouldn't need law enforcement, you know, to hover over us and protect us. You know, it's not about, I want government to get out of our business, get out of the people's business, and government should be transparent so we can see what's going on with government, but then the people's business should be private.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want you to reenact what I saw you in like a town hall that was local, but then it went national, and you were in there just tearing them up the other day. That was you I saw, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just remembering because I said, get that guy. I'm always saying, get him. Why haven't we got him yet? They're like, Jakari interviews him all the time. So I'm like, so here you are. What do you want to talk about when we come back? Because I'll consider and ask questions all day.
Right. Well, I think, you know, we need to get our federal government to focus on the correct things. You know, stop focusing on universal background checks. As a gun store owner, I actually should be in support of universal background checks. But I'm against universal background checks. I'm against having the federal government get involved in private sales.
That's right. I should add, you're the owner of Central Texas Gunworks, aren't you?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And that's a great outfit. I never have time to go up there, but I'm going to do it. CentralTexasGunworks.com. If you're in Central Texas, get over there. He's got a big shooting range, big gun store, very popular, one of the most successful people in Central Texas. And you can go to CentralTexasGunworks.com and also CargillForConstable.com. What's going on with that?
We're actually not running the constable race anymore. That was something that we did last year.
Just to educate people.
Right. We were actually running against Adon Ballesteros, a.k.a. the cocaine constable. And he actually, when he used to work for DPS, he allowed 4,000 kilograms of cocaine to cross over from Mexico to the United States. So DPS actually fired him. And then he actually got a job for the constable and then eventually ran for constable. And so we actually ran against him in that election. But since I ran as a Democrat, and since I was a Second Amendment supporter, and the local leadership in the Democratic Party decided that they were not going to support me in that race because of my
disgusting.
Right, my Second Amendment stance.
Doesn't matter though. You got to expose them.
Right.
That's what matters.
Yes. So we exposed him.
And that's what it's about. I mean, a lot of times running is about getting on the news and fighting the New World Order.
Right.
What is your view on politics worldwide?
Well, I think we need to get out. The president promised that our people would actually, you know, our troops would return home. He would bring the troops home, and he has not held up to that promise. And
they're still in Iraq, and they say they withdrew. They didn't.
Yes, and we need to return our troops back to the United States. We need to take care of the United States, take care of our people here.
You're like a Ron Ball type guy, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Because I've heard you on the radio and stuff. I just don't want to speak for you.
Oh, yes, sir.
You're like in the extremist club, basically.
Well, you know.
You love freedom, mom and apple pie. You're a bad guy.
Well, my motto is, you know, when they come for your guns, give them your bullets.
Absolutely, and that's why we're fighting so hard. You know, for me, it's the line in the sand. It's slavery. I mean, I'm not bringing this up because you're black. I bring it up all the time. The first gun laws, as you know, were against black people in the South.
Yes, sir.
After the Civil War on record, and then they have all these commentators on BET and CNN and Fox, black and white and Hispanic, saying the NRA's the Klan, and I mean, where do they? That's the opposite of the reality.
Oh, no, exactly. The exact opposite. The National Rifle Association focuses on training. They may not be as extreme as some people would like them to be because they're, you know, trying to work that political process.
They're sure not the Klan.
Exactly. They are sure not the KKK.
But, I mean, that's obvious. I don't know why they don't. I'm not a sue guy, but at a certain point, you got to sue people.
Right.
I mean, I'm surprised Fox hadn't been sued for them having their people on there saying the NRA is the Klan and wants to kill black people. How do you come up with that?
Yeah, well, the people they need to focus on is the current administration, because this administration wants to come up with universal background checks. When you do universal background checks, what that's going to do is, first of all, we have over 1 million people that are locked up in jail right now in this country. Out of that 1 million people, the majority of them are African Americans. So when you come up with any new laws, new gun laws, those laws are going to focus on that community.
Oh, you know they are.
Exactly. And you're going to give the police more power to come after those people and put more blacks in jail. So
who need the guns to protect themselves.
That is correct. So this president will actually be the person that more responsible for putting more black people in jail instead of doing the exact opposite.
Well, look at what he's doing with AFRICOM, invading Africa, and they're not there to help, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's unbelievable what they get away with, I tell you. It is unbelievable. And not that I like John McCain or, the other guys that he ran against, Mitt Romney. It's that there's no choice. It just gets worse and worse. But with Obama, this is a guy raised by the weathermen. I mean, it's just creepy.
Right. And you got to be careful because one of his big supporters is a gun guy. He's being supported by a gun manufacturer. So you got to be careful with that, too.
Who is?
The president.
Really?
One of his big supporters.
Who is that?
Oh, man, I can't even think of the name right now. I apologize. But
No, I forgot. I remember reading that. I forgot. You forgot. That's why I was asking you.
Right.
Michael Cargill is coming up. We're going to take your phone calls all over the map, but then let's get some gun calls in here. Very exciting to have a pro-Second Amendment person in studio with us. Michael, I was riveted by the town hall meeting I saw you in. You were really tearing those people up. And I love how they take a few anti-gun politicians and call them moms against guns, like moms are against guns. They're not against the government having guns.
No, and the main goal of these people is actually to strip us of our gun rights. We asked the young lady that was sitting next to me, what were some of the things that she wanted to do. And she said her main thing is she didn't believe that anyone should be able to have access to firearms. So there's, and what do you say to a person like that, and I told her that some of the things that we need to focus on as far as Travis County and the state of Texas, we need to focus on, I get a person that will walk into my gun store and that person would want to sell me a gun. And then do you know that there's no way for a gun store to verify if that gun's stolen or not? So those are some of the things they need to focus on. They're always focusing on the wrong things. They're always focusing on individuals and private.
Well, that's because they're all getting kickbacks out of it. That's what the pawn shops are for.
Right.
I mean, I can drive down to a mile from here and show you drugs being sold. Cops drive right by it.
Right. Right. And it's funny you say that because I actually, contacted, the local law enforcement. I also contacted the mayor's office and said, hey, what can we do about this problem with someone walking into the gun store wanting to sell a gun and me, a gun store owner, being able to verify if that gun is stolen or not. While that person standing right there at the counter, I can actually call the local. They
don't want to make citizens proactive to then call and check and see if it's stolen to shut down the stolen gun market.
Exactly.
They don't want real solutions.
Exactly. No.
Why do they want us to live like in Chicago?
Honestly, I do not know. And next thing they're going to do is they're going to send National Guard into Chicago. And,
yeah, they're saying that now.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I'm bad about that. What did the city council do when you wanted a real plan?
Well, I let them, I told them, here's our situation. Here's what's going on. A pawn shop, they have rules. They do certain things. But a gun store, you walk into a gun store, you try to sell a gun. The gun store, can't dial, the local law enforcement and verify that serial number to see if that gun's used in a crime or reported stolen or anything like that. And the response I got was, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to run an honest business, but there's nothing that we can do about it.
And again, they should just have a program where stolen guns, people can tell the police, put it in a database.
Right.
And do you ever have what look like meth heads or crack heads come in that are obviously super seedy, have a weird story, and you refuse to buy a gun?
Yes, we've had that situation happen probably about a month ago. A young man walked into the store, and he was really high-strung, and he wanted to buy a gun. He actually wanted to buy a gun to kill somebody. And he actually told that to someone down the street there in a sporting goods store, and they sent him to us. And so when he walked into the shop, my staff actually contacted me, and I hit the silent alarm. We had the police show up, and they actually pulled him out and sent him to do a medical eval done. But that does happen, and it's up to it's our responsibility as citizens to protect us, from things like that.
Obviously out of his mind.
Right.
Walking in, I need a gun to kill somebody.
Right.
And the other stores then send them to you.
Right.
Oh, no, go to him. It's
right.
Cowards, see?
Right.
That's another thing. Most people are such cowards now, or not everybody, but a large segment, that they just never stand up to bad guys. So they just run rampant.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. So that's why it's up to the people, to protect ourselves. We need to arm the people. And it's like I said, when they come for your guns, I say, give them your bullets.
What did the guy do I want to hear when the cops showed up, what did he do?
Well, when they showed up, they actually pulled him outside. When they pulled him outside, about 10, officers showed up. Someone else in his family showed up. There was a big fight outside in the parking lot, not in my shop. It's up to me to make sure that the people in my shop, in my
I want to hear this. Hold on. All I hear is great stuff. In fact, he's like, yeah, we cleaned a couple of your 50 cals. We're a big gunsmith, too. Because I never have time to mess with this stuff. Weldon took him in there. Those are some pretty rifles, huh?
Didn't want to test them for you.
So you liked them?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, well, it's good to have you here with us. We've got callers calling in that are all over the map, and I want to go to some of them. But more about that town hall I saw you on TV with last week and how they use this playbook. I mean, this is all about disarming us. Did you see the video we got of the mayor pro tem at the Capitol where people had signs saying no gun ban? And he said, listen, after we get them registered, you're going to need that sign. Then we will confiscate them. But we're not doing that now. That's next. Feinstein, all of them are on record. They want our guns. And they're so disingenuous when they're on CNN going, we don't want your guns. I mean, it should be game over. They're disingenuous. And I think that's why they're losing their gun control debate, because people know they're a pack of scum.
Right. They're actually traveling around the country trying to find out different ways to come after individual firearms. And I tell them, focus on the things that you can actually control, you know, those little things. You know, why don't you go after where the criminal's located? You know, we don't need gun control. We actually need criminal control. You know, and I'm not giving you my firearms. You're not going to get them. You come after my firearms, you knock on my door, I'm giving you my bullets first. Which
50 cal do you like, the Navy version or the Army standard?
I like the Navy version. That was actually pretty nice.
Well, we got to take you out shooting sometime, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm just so busy. I want to do the gun show. I shot like 3 shoots with the Steiners, 3 great videos coming out soon. It's going to be about us out there with 50 cals trying to figure them out, never shooting those particular ones. I had them for a long time. Now the price has gone up so much. Thank God I got them a while back. But if Obama has done anything, they have certainly woken people up, and I think it's backfired on them.
Yes, because they're not focusing on safety. They're actually focusing on, you know, taking people's Second Amendment rights. It's about control and not about safety at all. If they focus on the safety aspects of it, they focus on the things that they can do within the ATF and the FBI in that system. Focus on mental health. Those are the things that they can actually control. But they're not focusing on that. They actually want to just go after individuals' guns. And like a person gets deployed overseas, you know, instead of sending troops home, you know, we've got troops deployed around this world. And when our troops come back, they're actually labeling them with PTSD. And then once they label them with PTSD, then they want to take their firearms away from them. And then all of a sudden go back and redeploy them again. But take your firearm away from you while you're at home, but you're okay to fight when you're overseas.
That is unbelievable. I've seen that.
Yes.
Well, look, I mean, any corrupt regime wants to go after the veterans. Hitler did it.
Yes.
He had Night of the Long Knives, where he went after hundreds of thousands of soldiers and people. And this is what Stalin did that, Lenin did that, Mao did that. I mean, the police and military better be the first ones to figure out that they better get on board with the people and just say no to tyranny. And I see that happening. Between 40 and 50% of the troops I run into are listeners, and they say most of the people in their units are awake to the New World Order. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing the exact same thing. We need to bring our troops home. We need to pay attention to what's going on in our federal government. Listen to what, you know, your commander-in-chief is saying. Bring our troops home. Bring them home. That's all I can stress enough. Bring them home.
But the globalists have a problem if the military is awake. And how is it going to fly saying the troops are the #1 terror threat with no evidence of that in these new training manuals?
No, I disagree with that.
But it's asinine. It's like saying Mary Poppins is the terror threat.
Right. No.
How about the crooks in government saying that are the problem?
Yes, government's definitely going to be the problem. Like I said, government should be transparent. We need to be able to see what government is doing, and the people's business should be private.
Amazing. What is your concern? Because I know you're really on this issue at the Capitol. I mean, that's why I like it. I always see you popping up. You're at the lead fighting this tyranny, and they're trying to now just label people to take our rights away. How do you think they're going to come at us next time?
Well, just like we were talking about with the town hall meeting, you have a situation where a young man was at the Virginia Tech shooting. And the guy walks in, the madman walks into the room and starts shooting. Well, he didn't get shot. So he picks up the only weapon that he had, which was his cell phone. He dials 911 on his cell phone. The shooter leaves the room, goes into a different room, shoots people in that room. And he's on the phone for about 20 minutes with the 911 operator. The shooter comes back into the room, starts shooting again. Only thing he could do is turn around and run. So he gets shot in the rear, trying to run from the shooter. As he goes down, a girl next to him grabs his phone and talks to the 911 operator for quite a while. Shooter leaves the room, goes out the room. Shooter comes back to the room, continues shooting. And they will sit here and they will tell you that they don't think that a concealed handgun license holder would have, been able to do anything about that situation.
Well, I just grimaced involuntarily when you were telling that story, because I remember covering at the time. And I'm not just saying this because I've been in situations people have knives and stuff and I went after them. But it's actually a fear thing. I like attack instead of run. It's what I do. And because that feels a lot better. I can't do the other thing. It's actually a problem I have. And I was imagining if I was that guy, I know, because I know about guns, if I'd have seen the guy turn his back or he's around the corner, I would have gone and hidden there, or I would have grabbed a desk and, ran towards him. And that happens a lot of times now where people do tackle shooters.
Correct.
I just can't imagine people getting in fetal positions to be killed. I mean, if you're going to kill me anyways, I'm going to fight you.
Right.
I mean, what would you have done if you were there? I mean, I know you're not trying to say you're a macho guy, but you're a paratrooper and stuff. I mean, I think most Texans I know, you see it if somebody pulls a gun out, people try to stomp them.
Right.
Susanna Hupp's dad tried to go stop the guy and rushed him and got shot.
Exactly.
At the Loopies, why not have them have guns?
Exactly. We need to empower the people. The people need to be empowered. The people in Chicago need to be empowered. They don't need law enforcement because law enforcement's not doing it.
The more they hire, it doesn't do anything.
Exactly. Empower the people and return that power back to the people so the people can protect themselves.
I mean, look at Chicago, where only the government has guns and the criminals. It's hellish.
And it's 1 mile from the president's residence. 1 mile. That's where the majority of that crime takes place.
What is it? 530-something people a year shot there.
Right.
Killed. And that's something like 3,000 shot. I mean, that is...
So what you have a situation of the criminals having the guns and your law-abiding citizens are at home cowering down, hiding because they can't go and purchase that firearm to protect themselves.
And the thing is, Chicago, I've been there a lot. I have family who lives up there. It's a nice city.
Right.
I mean, it's a famous city. Why have they allowed this?
And that is the last state that does not have a concealed handgun license program. I know they're working on something right now, and hopefully they will come up with something.
Take Dallas. I mean, I remember when they first put the concealed carry in, it was 2 days after it had gone in, people had been able to do the program, and the first, were issued a few months into it. There was a carjacking that were happening all the time. I grew up in Dallas. It was dangerous.
Right.
There was a carjacking on Central Expressway during stop-and-go traffic, and a guy was dragging it out of a car, and a guy stepped out behind and shot the guy dead. And then immediately the carjackings just stopped because now there were guns.
Right. And we need to learn something from Texas. The rest of the country can actually take this message where, we started our concealed handgun license program here in Texas back in 1995. Our crime actually dropped dramatically here in the state of Texas.
Wasn't it 25%?
Yes. And you have your stats. For the year of 2011, you have over 63,000 people were convicted of crimes in the year of 2011. Out of that 63,000, only 120 were CHO holders. So the program that we have here actually works for us. Our CHO holders are law-abiding citizens. They're not the people that are going to...
Well, let's just say it. Statistically, they're even better than the police because you've got psychos and criminals, not all of them, but 20% or so they estimate in criminology. That's a fact.
Right.
Who want to become cops. They want to do it so they can get away with crime, be a better criminal. You don't have that with CHL because the criminals just carry a gun anyways. They like committing the crime.
Right. Why go all through that trouble of getting a license, doing the background check, paying all the fees just to commit a crime when you can just go and grab the gun and commit the crime?
So the CHL are the best people.
Yes.
And they've been looking for problems and they just can't find them.
And it's because CHL holders have been vetted and these people want to do the right thing and protect themselves and their family.
Well, it just shows they're people with common sense.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What is, for people that don't know, in Texas, but also in other areas, what is the current law on carrying loaded firearms in your vehicle?
Well, in the state of Texas, you can have a loaded handgun in your vehicle without a license. It must be concealed in the vehicle. Now, prior to 2007, you had to be traveling from one county to another. Well, after that, 2007, everyone became, everyone's traveling. So it became legal to have a loaded handgun in your vehicle. It must be concealed in the vehicle as long as you're not committing a crime. Anything greater than a Class C misdemeanor, that's an ordinance regulating traffic, or the gun is not it's not open.
The problem is you got to get out of your car.
Correct. Once you get out of that vehicle, unless you're traveling to and from your home, then you must have a CHL.
I tell you, it's even pointless to even have laws on this. The criminals aren't going to follow anything anyways. I mean, it's just pointless.
Right.
Well, me personally, I've never had time to go to the concealed carry, but I think I'm going to take it from you. My wife obviously knows the law. She's a good shot, able to do it. She hasn't had time to go do it. We've got to go do it. Myself, of all people, back before that law, I just carried a rifle in my car.
Okay.
But then with children, when you're putting them in the car, I'd put it in the trunk. Or if I was getting death threats, then I'd put the shotgun up in the front with me. But that was only a few times when I had people actually after me. I want to get into those whole stories here on air. But the point is I go to like places don't even have security. I kind of don't worry about it. But it's almost like I have a responsibility to go get a concealed carry just to be there in case I see a crime being committed. It's almost like a dereliction of a citizen's duty to not be armed.
Right. You need to be armed. You need to know what the laws are, know what you cannot do to keep yourself and your family out of trouble and to keep them safe.
You were telling me during the break, your real passion is getting women armed and trained so they can protect themselves and equalize. And that is an incredible thing. Think about the civil rights, the human rights, the God-given right of self-defense, and empowering women who for thousands of years have been dominated by bad men. Now you're empowering them. I would think Gloria Steinem and all these so-called liberals would be screaming from the rooftops to arm women.
Yeah, I applaud Melinda because it's about empowering women to protect themselves and making it that equalizer. When you're walking from that building, going to your vehicle or whatever it is, you have tools within your means to protect yourself because you cannot have that law enforcement officer there to help you at all.
Yeah, and it's just common sense, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I tell you, I love having the women come to our class at Central Texas Gun Works because the women, they listen and they want to do the right thing, and they actually come out shooting a lot better than the men. What
do you think's going to end up happening long term? Because you seem like a pretty smart guy who's got his ear to the ground. What's your gut on whether they'll be successful or not? Because when they wanted to get our guns, they were demonizing the Second Amendment. Now that they've lost for now, they're like, we never wanted your guns, so we all go back to sleep. But I don't see that happening, but I don't see them stopping. So it's like two freight trains speeding down the track towards each other. What do you think's going to happen?
I think after the midterm elections, they're going to actually come back again. A second time, a second win, because this president, the current administration is not going to let this go. They took a big hit. And he made a promise to the Democratic Party that he was going to do something about guns, and so he's gonna come after them. He's definitely going to come after them.
Why do you think they want our guns?
It's about control. It's about control and controlling individuals. It really needs to be about safety, and they've lost that target. That eye on the picture there.
Plug CentralTexasGunworks.com. If, let's say you're a woman out there or a man or somebody who hasn't been around guns, you believe all the stuff from Hollywood and mystifying it. How do you demystify it? How does somebody come in and take a basic gun safety class from you?
Well, we actually focus on training. We don't focus on mainly selling the guns themselves. I want a person to come in. They want to learn safety. They want to learn how to keep their family safe. They want to learn that, we have a penal code 46.13 that says that if you allow your child to get access to a firearm, in the state of Texas, they're going to come after you and charge you with the crime. So we focus on that training and teaching them about the laws, making sure they're safe, making sure their kids safe, because you don't want your son actually going and sitting with your neighbor's son. We don't want Dumb and Dumber getting together learning gun safety. I want them learning that in our beginning handgun course or our concealed handgun course or advanced pistol course.
Sure.
And then once you get that concealed handgun license and you're ready to carry to protect yourself and your family, it's about how are you going to deploy that firearm? How are you going to get out of your concealed carry position? Whether you're a lady and you're carrying inside your purse, how are you going to get that gun out to protect yourself if needs be? Because you may only have 4 seconds to draw that firearm. And so those are some of the things that we go over and we teach you.
You can always tell when women are carrying one because they'll put their purse around kind of on the front.
Yeah, they walk with confidence. And you don't want to mess with that person, And I give them some pepper spray. I make sure that every female that attends our course gets some free pepper spray. So I'll give them that because I say, if something happens, You have some pepper spray, you get a stun gun or something like that, and something happens, you give them a good shot in the face of that pepper spray. That gives you a couple seconds to get to your gun. That gives you a couple seconds to run away, you know, and protect yourself.
Well, it's that threat continuum,
right?
Where you don't want to, just because somebody runs up and says something, you shoot them.
Right.
No, it's like once they start coming at you, then it's the pepper spray, and if they keep coming, that's
right. Getting a good shot of pepper spray in the face, like I said, that gives you a couple seconds to run away, or gives you a couple seconds to get to your gun.
Well, what's amazed me is I've heard you on local radio, seen you on TV. Some of our reporters out at the gun rallies have interviewed you, Jakari and others. But I just keep hearing people talk about Central Texas Gun Works. It's like Weldon goes, yeah, you know, you don't think you're really cleaning these guns good, boss. You may take them to a great gunsmith I know. And then I didn't even realize that was you till you told me. And then I heard other people talking about Central Texas Gun Works. You guys must be pretty busy.
Yes, we stay pretty busy because we focus on training and customer service. You know, you know, people are tired of walking into that gun store and
they act arrogant, like you don't know anything.
Correct, and feeling uncomfortable. We actually, you know, I have females that work for us.
What is it about service places that are selling things that don't know how to give people hospitality?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and so, you know, we want to give them that good customer service. I have a wide range of people that work for me. You know, like I said, I have military veterans. I have females. You know, and we're a nice, good, and close-knit family, and we believe in taking care of people and actually teaching them safety and the laws.
And explain to me the penal code on children and guns.
Yeah, you have Penal Code Section 46.13.
That's in Texas, but it varies.
Right, it does vary from state to state. But the way it works is if your child gets access to a firearm, no one's injured, it's not discharged, you're going to get off easy, you'll get charged with a Class C misdemeanor. But if your child gets access to a firearm, is discharged, someone's injured, you're going to get charged with a Class A misdemeanor. If your child gets access to your firearm and kills himself, shoots himself, or kills another one of your kids, we will give you, the state of Texas will give you 7 days to go and bury your child before they come and arrest you and charge you with the Class A. And what you just touched on right now is parenting. You know, what a concept, you know, raising your kids. I remember when I was a little kid, my mother would say to me, you better be in the house before the sun goes down. Don't let your shadow catch you. And she's not talking about the street lights. It's about parenting. Right now, you have babies raising babies, and that's going to be part of the problem. If people focus on parenting and raising their children, then we're going to have some of these other issues that take place.
And now the state's coming in saying, don't worry about parenting, we'll do it. They do an even worse job.
Right.
I mean, I'm really worried about society degenerating, and government wants us all to live like in New York or Chicago in these crime capitals. It's so sad. Also, they can dominate us and use the crime wave as an excuse to take over even more. How do you think the establishment, Michael's going to get away with all this corruption as more and more stuff comes out?
Hopefully the people will, you know, stay educated and actually hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, we're not going to take this anymore. We want, like I said, the federal government to be transparent.
Sure.
The federal government is not designed to always take care of all our problems.
Sure.
You know, we don't always need the federal government we don't need Big Brother to always take care of us. We need to, take care of it. We can take care of ourselves.
We're going to go to more calls. Sounds like an American idea. How extreme. We're going to go to more calls here before the show ends in about 15 minutes or 14 minutes or so. But I wanted to ask you, because I always intend to do this and I don't do it, but you're actually on my way to work and things. You're actually in South Austin, closer to where I live. I live south of Austin. How fast could I come do the concealed carry class? Because I've sent off to the DPS before, gotten my packet like twice in the last decade, but never went and did it. And I've had other people up that are friends of mine that are concealed carry saying, I'll give you a private class, I'll accelerate it all, whatever. But I almost don't even want that. I want to go get the course because it's always good to learn.
If you wait until September, the law is going to change where it's only going to be 4 hours instead of the 10 hours like it is now. So if you wait until then, you'll be able to take a 4-hour course, do your shooting portion, and then right now you can do it online. You go online to the DPS website, fill out the application, and pay the fee, and then we'll turn in your paperwork for you.
Who has the best concealed carry law in the country?
I think, well, I like Vermont. I actually like Vermont. You know why?
That's what I thought was the best.
Because in the state of Vermont, everyone can carry openly or concealed without a license. It's constitutional carry. So Vermont is going to be the best state.
And again, I'm not liking the fact that it's a law you go do this for concealed carry because it kind of turns it right into a privilege. But I also do kind of like that this much training's going in because my dad's done it. I've read the course online. It's really good. I mean, I think it instills gun culture in people and common law in people.
Well, put your trust in people, because if you offer them a class, then they will actually come and take a class rather than saying the government says it's mandatory and it's something that you have to do.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I disagree with making you do it, but then at least it's good to make the government do something good.
Right.
I mean, it's not perfect, but at least something good's happening out of it.
Right. And people are actually learning the laws. They actually are willing to take more classes to learn safety. And
I've also been told that the police treat concealed carry people with more respect.
Oh, yeah. You pull that your driver's license and your concealed handgun license out and show it to the officer, and the officer knows that you've gone through a thorough background check.
I think it's important people to also know when you're doing stuff in your house and you've got a gun for self-defense, what is that issue if there's a burglar with a gun and your kids' bedrooms are down there? What do you do?
Anything that you're proficient in would be good to have for home protection. But I tell people to have a plan, just like taking a trip on an airplane. You take a trip on an airplane, they go over the security plan. In the event there's an emergency, we lose cabin pressure, this is going to drop down from the ceiling, put it with your mouth, assist the person sitting next to you. In the event there's a water landing, your seat cushion, we use the flotation device.
But you don't want to use a 50 cal in your house.
No, you do not. But you want to have a plan. And in my house, we actually have a safe room, a room that I want everyone to make it inside if something was to happen inside my home. If the alarm goes off, something that, alerts us that someone's inside the home, I want everyone to make it into the safe room because I don't want to accidentally shoot one of my loved ones. So whatever that you're proficient with, that is what you use. If you're...
No, that's totally smart. And people say we're living in fear. No, we're living in power.
Right.
We're living informed. We're not here just going to roll over.
Right. You don't want to be like those people in a certain part of town where someone knocked on the door at 7:30, 7:45 in the evening, and then someone opened the door and two guys went inside and robbed them with tasers and stun guns. You don't want to be like that person. You don't want to be like the person that worked at home at 12 noon in the afternoon on the second floor of his house. He has his bedroom. He has his office. At 12 noon, he stepped in the hallway out of his office and looked to his left, and a guy stepped out of his bedroom. You don't want to be like that person, And then he, looked at the guy and said, "What are you doing in my house?" And the guy ran to get his gun, came back out on the stairwell there in the hallway, looked downstairs, and a separate guy came out of his kitchen. You want to be that guy. You want to have a plan of what you're going to do to protect yourself.
I would have to be starving to death to break in somebody's house. I just do not. And then I just come knock on the door and beg for the food. I do not get this breaking in people's houses.
Yeah, these are the stories that we get in my class. That people tell me, some of the things that they've experienced. So we go over a security plan. I give them a plan of what they're going to do. I want to make sure they protect them and their family. They have a safe room. That way everyone in their family is accounted for. So and actually, have cameras, around my house. I'll help people set up security cameras for their home, and we'll have a little monitor where they can look at their cameras, see exactly where that intruder is, and
cameras are so cheap now. This isn't Big Brother's cameras. These are ours. I got cameras as well. It's good to be out of town and be able to look and see what's going on.
Oh, yes. I can look at my home. I can look at my shop. I can look at my parents' home. I can look at my sister's home because she's single right now. I can look at all their cameras and control their alarm systems from my cell phone.